Hello, everyone. It's CJ Miller. Welcome to my apartment. I'm in downtown Shreveport, Louisiana. Across the Red River is beautiful Bossier City, Louisiana. And happy Juneteenth to anyone who's celebrating Juneteenth. I mean, what's not to celebrate about the end of slavery, right? In the U.S. So, anyway, yeah, let's get on with it, shall we? I need a theme song. I need a theme song. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. As my corny little theme song, some of the best YouTubers have theme songs. And apparently some of the worst, right? Okay, so um, I am making, and I've got some browning here. They're ready for their first turn. These chicken leg. Now, this is one of these things that's going to be really kind of cool. Uh, so easy to do. And there's no name for this. I don't know. It's just a hodgepodge, of sauces and seasonings that I had, and I just pulled something together. But so that I can stew the chicken. So it's going to be a stewed chicken today with the Impetuous Chef. Okay, so this bowl here, I took about half a cup of cornstarch, put in the bottom of the bowl. Then I took about, well, 2 ounces of balsamic vinegar. Then I had about 5 ounces of Italian salad dressing that I put in the bowl. And then to that, I had about 5 ounces of Worcestershire sauce. So I blended all those together and made kind of a slurry. And to that, I did add this, which is a Cajun seasoning. It's similar to Tony's, a little bit less spicier than Tony's. This is from the Foodway store. And it has salt, and it does, spices, garlic, paprika, onion, and some anti-clogging, coagulating silicon dioxide or whatever. That's to help it not clot or cling or bunch up or whatever. But the spices, there's probably a little bit of sugar in here. They usually put a little bit of sweetness to the savory. I feel like I tasted some when I tasted it raw, but definitely there is there's a little bit of garlic, black pepper, and the main blend of the seasoning would be cayenne pepper, red pepper, ground up red pepper into cayenne. Not so much so that it's like, oh my God, that's hot, that's spicy, but it's there, And so it's basically a little bit spicier version of it. It's great. It's there. It's a seasoned salt, but there's heat to it. So I like it. My first time actually using it, and because I actually took a pinch of the salt of the seasoning directly out of here and put it right in my mouth. Okay, to this I also added cumin, and cumin, just ground cumin, because I love that cumin, the way it works with chicken, really great. And then I have to say, I also love curry, which my curry that I get from the same distributor is basically turmeric, powdered turmeric. It gave me the curry, flavors and everything. And so put all that together, and then into the pot it goes. And now it's ready for this first turn. And the whole idea is to get these browned on all sides, to get some sort of charring on all sides. And here in this pot, I took 4 ounces of unsalted butter and melted into the bottom. And then let that get melted and distributed. And then I put the chicken in. With the butter, when you're going to do a butter, you want to wait till it melts and then it bubbles, and you want the bubbles to dissipate and they settle into the liquid. And that way you know that all your solid particles are melted and the temperature is ready for it. And then, of course, as the chicken drains off, it's going to exchange flavors in that sauce between the butter and the natural chicken juices, and of course the marinade that it's on. Once it's all brown on all sides and I put all this chicken in, then I'm going to take the remainder of the marinade, and that's going to be the sauce. And if I need to add a little liquid to it here or there to keep it moist as it's stewing, I can do that. But I don't think I'll have to with this, because this is rendering off a lot of chicken broth. Okay, let me put the phone down and get these turned. Okay, now see, look at this. Just enough of just a little bit of crispiness on the outside of the skin. This is all we really need to achieve. We don't have to cook this all the way through. As a matter of fact, I'm going to reduce it a little bit. With doing a stew like this, a stewed chicken, the browning part in particular will add an extra nuance of flavor, you know, that good caramelization. But we don't want this to cook too fast. And what I really want to do is I want to take this chicken and I want to stew it. See, it's already starting to steam up. I want to stew it until it gets right to where it wants to slide off of the bone. I don't want to stew it so hard that I can't handle it, that I can't remove it and put it on a plate without it falling off the bone. But I do want it to be nice and delicious. Okay, I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to finish browning the chicken. I've got about 3 more pieces here, 3 or 4 pieces. So I'm going to do this browning, then I'm going to remove them and put these other chicken pieces in. I'm going to brown them, and then they're all going into the pot together. All right, so all of the chicken has been browned to some degree to give it a good flavor. Then, of course, it will continue to brown as it clings to the bottom. The parts that are on the bottom, they'll brown, and then I'll give this a light stir every 5 or 6 minutes or so. But I put the broth and everything in here. One of the things that I did add to the bowl that I forgot to mention was probably about half a cup of Trinity, that is chopped onion, celery, and bell pepper. And I just used some of that frozen vegetable that I had, you know. And if you don't have a blend, if you get a blend that is more of a mirepoix, meaning that it's not just straight onion, celery, and bell pepper chopped up, but if there are other vegetables too, that's fine. That's what you would call mirepoix. That's the ones that have like your additional celery and onion and carrots, maybe instead of bell pepper, or maybe it'll be so, you know, whatever. It's more of it doesn't have that blend of celery, onion, and bell pepper. It'll exchange out either the bell pepper or the onion or the celery, any of those, and it would exchange for chopped carrots instead. And that's what you would call a mirepoix. And maybe a mirepoix has like many, you know, more vegetables that are chopped up, you know, like 5 or 6 different types of chopped vegetables rather than the aromatics. And that's fine too. That's fine too. I did not use in here a product that I love to use, which is called Kitchen Bouquet. You can if you want to. I did not. I wanted to retain the lighter toning color for this chicken, but also there were so many flavors in here that I did not need to add the Kitchen Bouquet, which is you know, it's a great product, but in this one it was going to be unnecessary. Yeah, when I was telling you the recipe before, I didn't run it all down, and that's because there is no recipe for this stewed chicken. This is kind of close to a fricassee. Fricassee meaning chicken with vegetables. You know, that's what it means. Whether you fry it, brown it, or anything like that, it just means chicken with vegetables. That's what it means. But in this case, we build upon the complexity of that because it's more than just vegetables. We've added a lot of sauces and herbs and everything like that. So it's not just your traditional chicken fricassee. This is more of a stewed chicken. Uh, Either you can call it by any name. I'm finding that a lot of food, and I love to look into like French cuisine. This has elements that could work in it could cross many borders. You could do something like this, and because of the Italian dressing, and you could pair it with depending upon what you pair it with and how you present it, especially if it were like boneless, skinless chicken breast or something like that, uh, or just even a large on the bone chicken breast. You really could. How you're going to serve it could say it's German, or you could say that it's Italian. You could, whatever you're going to do with it. This is going to cross a lot of borders. And of course in Louisiana we have a lot of French and German and Spanish influences. So there's chili powder in here. Chili powder is big in Spanish cooking, and especially in Mexican cooking and Mexican American cooking. So there's a lot of influences in here. Worcestershire sauce, German, right? So, yeah. So, yeah, that is, the basis of what we do. In a Louisiana kitchen, especially a home kitchen in Louisiana. We'll just, if we have to, we'll just make a recipe out of anything. We don't waste. That's the essence of French cooking, by the way, is that you use as much of the product as possible. You don't really throw anything out that you can possibly use, and if you don't know that you can use it, you do all you can to find a use for it, including taking your ends of your vegetables that you chop off and put into a bowl and boil them out to render the stock, if that's possible. You do whatever, especially in a large kitchen or in a budgeting home. Today, a lot of those flavors are processed for us. So, yeah. Gee whiz, right? I just don't know that it can be quite authentic French cooking, but in the French style, we really try to use all that we can, And in that, keeping to that, I'm going to be using leftover rice with the Trinity that I cooked it's the rice cooked steamed, or Louisiana style rice, Louisiana cooked rice, cooked the Louisiana way, basically. Steamed or boiled or whatever, basically boiled. What did you get your water to boiling with your rice in it, and then you cover it, reduce it, and then you let it cook until the water gets absorbed into the rice, and then that's it. And you fluff it, and there you go. But takes anywhere 15 to 20 minutes. But I've got some left over because in the French style, I'm going to reuse what I have and not waste it. That is the main thing about French cooking. All the words, everything out the window. You can be as wonderfully creative as you want to, following some guidelines, and one of those being that you use everything that you can possibly use, every part of the product that you can possibly use, you use it. No waste in a kitchen that follows a French style. Okay, I'll see you after the click. So, one of the things that I want to talk about is basically taking the sauce and just kind of coming in here and giving it a little gentle stir around. This is a metal spoon, trying not to scrape the bottom of the pan. This particular pan is Gotham steel. It's a diamond coating Gotham steel pan. I've had this pan for a few years. It does well for me. That commercial that says, hey, you can take your pan and you can blend it with metal beaters, or it says you can take a fork and scrape the hell out of it with the tines of a fork and it'll hold up. Well, don't do that. I didn't, but I can tell you, just gentle tappings even of a metal can loosen the ceramic, coating on ceramic cookware. It does do very well though. It's got the scratches, after years of wear, but it's very good. But yay. And I have you on a tripod, the phone, so that way I actually can work with two hands. Yay. The tripod is not meant to hold a phone, but I found a way to makeshift it. I'm going to work on trying to learn about my production value for you guys. I am an aspiring writer. One of the things that I want to do, oh, that's good. This is getting good coverage. One of the things that I want to do is I want to learn how to, self-publish. And the reason why I want to self-publish is because what I've understood, come to understand, I should say, is that you give up a certain artistic freedom, even if you're extremely talented. And I don't necessarily think that I am. I just think that I like to write. But even if the most talented, most prolific authors, of our time, they are answerable to editors who say, well, we think if you want to this is a good story, but why don't you write it so that it can kind of go in this direction? Or why don't you write it so that it can include this or that? We think that would be interesting. And then the writer goes back and he does a rewrite. And that's a few things that happens, especially with the publishing house or something. That's what I've come to understand. And that's just something that I don't want to do. Not even that I think that I have the talent that would get picked up by a publishing house or anything when I get ready to release. But I don't want to be answerable to anybody in the art that I create. Okay. This is going to simmer in the pot for a bit. If I need to, I can reduce this up or down. I'm going to turn it just to right here. And I will see you guys after the click. Hey there, time to give it a little mix up again. Let me just show you. It's looking beautiful. Slow simmering makes the chicken retain its moisture and tenderness. Slowly cooking, but really, really helps those flavors get into the chicken. But this is a recipe that we really do want to make sure that we get the chicken really, really done. And because of the brown redishness of the sauce here, that it's going to coat the chicken in and out. So you wouldn't be able to tell really if the chicken were just slightly pink at the bone. It's one of these things you really couldn't rely on your eye to tell you. So basically, want to make sure that you get it done. And there is an essence of sassafras, which is a Cajun root seasoning that we use a lot in gumbo powders and things like that. I'm picking up some of that's in here that I think came from this Cajun blend. I like it. It's something that I'll use, but I don't want to rely on so much that everything that I have to grab it for everything. But I do enjoy it. I do like it. Actually, I'm going to use the lid of this to go underneath here so that when I'm taking that spoon to be washed off, because I wash it between each stirring, but I can avoid dropping it on my kitchen floor as I'm going, because my sink is on the other side of the kitchen. I wish that my food was here and then my sink was here. I wish I had like a sink here right next to the stove for the cooking. But this is a home kitchen, not a professional kitchen. So, okay, I will let this go for another, I don't know, 20 or so minutes, and I will be back after the click. And yes, a lot of people take their spoon and lay it on a trivet when cooking, and that can work for a lot of things. But something like chicken, I like to wash it after each use because I don't want to risk contamination of salmonella. Salmonella, if I stirred the chicken and then laid it over here and this was going to stew for 15, 20 minutes in between each and this and that, and I'm just going to take this and leave it out. I don't know that much about how long it would take salmonella to become an issue, So to be safe, I wash it. Why not, right? Why not, right? Hmm. So let me adjust this. I thought that I'd be able to get it. Technical difficulties. Yay. Not the first ever here on this vlog. Okay, so I thought I'd be able to get some, I thought I'd be able to get it raised up a little higher and get a little bit more sense made out of the perspective, but that's just not what we're working with here. That's okay though. Look, as I'm doing a little cleaning, let me talk to you about some additives that would go great. You could take mushroom caps, sliced mushrooms, anything like that would go great in here. I don't really care for mushrooms. As a matter of fact, I'm almost certain I'm allergic to mushrooms. Uh, so I hardly ever use mushrooms in my food. But that would go great. You could take large chops of potato, large chops of carrots, put it right in the pot with this stew, and that would work with it, you know. If you did not, you could do it just as I've done it. And the chicken leg and then the gravy from it would go really great over a mound of mashed potatoes. This would go really great with noodles, you know. Now I'm tempted to make noodles, but I do have the rice that I want to use from dinner. So from dinner the other night, so I'm going to do that. 2 nights ago, I had a similar meal, and I had rice with that. So, and I have some of the leftover rice, and so that's what I'm going to use. This is not really great for me leaning in and talking, but for the cooking part of my videos, it'll be great because you can watch, and then of course, you know, that's kind of cool. I can pull you in a little closer if I need to, that type of stuff when I get ready to do omelets. And no, I was like, let me do an omelet. No, it's because I'm hungry that I'm thinking of all these different foods. So I was like, hey, that's cool. But I've already done a few omelet videos last month. I'm going to take a break from doing the omelet videos. Okay, so this is almost ready. I'm so hungry that I'll be tasting it after the click. Let me show you. Even as I cook this on a low medium, it's still got to a hot simmer, so I had to run over and turn it down just a little bit and remove it. You want to do this. One of the things is it helps keeps the chicken basted. It gives you an opportunity to see what's going on with the chicken. However, yeah, but however, no, never mind. However, also, what I meant to say, however, and also, they're not the same conjunction. Okay, so what really happens is it gives us a chance to remove the lid and let some of that heat get out. And as you're noticing, the heat is so low here that I'm not even having to use an exhaust fan. But that simmer is what we got going on. It won't be long now. Okay, so now I'm going to, at this point, turn this off. This is the part where you actually could turn this off and let this rest for a few minutes. It's a really good idea to do that with any sort of meats or anything that you cook anyway. Let it rest and let some of the juices flow back into it, especially roasting, but it can work that way for stew also. By the way, this treatment that I just did, pulling out various sauces and coming up with flavors that would work well together, it really speaks to why my channel is called the Impetuous Chef. You know, the way I cook is like on impulse, and if there's a recipe involved, it's really just a guide. But it's a lot of me doing whatever it is that I want to do, you know, and You should do that too. You should find little ways, to take the basics that you pick up and that you learn along the way, and then kind of experiment and come up with your own signature things that you and your family and your friends love. Okay, so yeah, this can just stay here until I'm ready to eat. And So yeah, stay here until I'm ready to eat. Now we'll do a tasting at the end of this video. Okay, so here I have the leftover rice. I don't know why I'm stumbling, stuttering, or whatever. Leftover rice that's been reheated in the microwave, and then some pepper jack cheese. 70s and 80s kids will know exactly why sometimes I just hanker for a hunk of cheese. So anyway, and then of course a couple of the legs with some of the gravy over the rice. Let's give this a taste. Hey, so I'm trying so hard to work on my formatting for my vlog that I could talk to you while I'm doing the tasting. So uh, the preferred drink in this house is Coke Zero because I'm the only one here. And usually, uh, I've gotten Mike pretty much addicted to Coke Zeros too. He and Mindy, where they live, he just has like Coke Zeros over there. So anyway, the cheese, gotta have this. So the milk is great for me. It kind of cleanses the palate, I suppose. I don't know, but really, I love the pepperiness of the pepper jack because it gets my palate prepared for what's to come. Because these are very flavorful sauces that have come together here. And then I've, uh, what I put in the bowl when I got ready to make it and put it in the pot. I used just a little bit of water to rinse out what was left in the bowl just to make sure there was no waste, but there's very little actual water. Uh, and mostly it's sauce, the marinade that I put in the bowl. So, and this does come, as I showed you, the chicken, the plate, but this does separate very easily from the bone. Oh my God, it is very delicious. What does this remind me of? A little bit of everything. The other day, what I made for dinner, it was the hamburger steaks. Some might call it a Salisbury steak. The Salisbury steak has mushrooms, and I don't really use a lot of mushrooms. So I call it hamburger steak. But so that's where we use the rice. But this is different because it's not a brown sauce; it's a red sauce, really. But there's no tomato in it. Um, there was no roux, but it is closest to an espagnole because there's no cream in it, even though there is the flour. So the sauce itself is closest to an espagnole. Or an espagnole, however you want to pronounce however you want to pronounce it. Uh, the mother sauce. I guess that's my favorite of the mother sauces. I love a good brown sauce, a good brown gravy. And though this was not made with, traditionally with the roux, all the ingredients for the roux were there. The cornstarch, in the absence of cornstarch, you can use flour. Just know that with flour, you really want to make that roux first. If you're not using flour, but you're using cornstarch like I did, just to thicken the sauce, and it's the seasonings themselves are going to provide the color, all the flavors and everything. The soy sauce and the Italian seasoning, they're going to work against the blanchness of the cornstarch and make like this light brown gravy and everything. Then you really don't have to worry about providing any sort of, you don't really need to toast your roux to get the brownness, and we get some of those simmering flavors out of the chicken anyway. So you can do that with the cornstarch, but if you're going to swap out the cornstarch and use a flour, then you're probably better off browning the roux, at least getting it up to a brown, blonde, kind of a medium blondish color. Because otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to taste the flour underneath everything. If you take a white flour and try to make a sauce like this, but you don't toast it in the pan first by making a roux, then what happens, and even if you try to do it, if you don't toast it long enough, then what happens is that you taste the flour. So, a little tip: you can swap out and you can use flour, but do the roux first. I had a flake of something on my shirt. Okay, this is really good, but I think it was Emily Post. Yeah, Emily Dickinson is the poet, I believe, and it's Emily Post who writes the etiquette. And I think that she wrote, and she's quite true, that chicken is not finger food except for in the South, meaning the southern United States. And it's finger licking good. Bon appetit. Ciao, Bella. Love and light. Good night.